Hey everyone, it is Abby. How are you guys doing today? Hope this finds everyone doing well. Today we have a update from a subscriber who we had an email read a few weeks ago about an accident, um, and that he was looking into having a cuckold experience with his wife. So, he wrote back in to let us know how things were going. So, we have an update for you. Get lit up and we'll get started. All right. So, here is how it went. It says, "Hi Abby, first off, thanks for doing the video. Loved your advice. I have an update for you." Excuse me. Not sure how detailed you want me to be, but there's quite a bit that's happened. We had our first cuckold experience, and it was even better than expected. My wife and the older gentleman we met really got along well, so we decided to move things ahead. We invited him over for drinks and asked him what he'd like her to wear. His answer was as little as possible. He knew we were looking for a cuckold situation beforehand, so I'm sure he knew what was going on. He's actually very polite, but he was very flirty with her. Anyway, back to what happened. When she arrived, when he arrived, she was in the shower. We meant to time it that way for his arrival. So I had a hockey game on TV when he arrived. I told him to help himself, there's beer in the fridge, and he goes and gets one and sits down on the couch. Not long after, I can hear the shower stop and sounds like she's going to be getting out. She comes walking out wearing nothing but a t-shirt that only come down to just above her big, beautiful booty. She shoots me a mischievous grin, and I'm thinking I can't believe this is actually happening. But I'm excited because she hasn't always been very confident about her body. It was nice to see her being confident. So, me and Dave, that's his name, continued watching the game. Well, not exactly, because every time she gets up and walks past, you know where his eyes were going. And she just kept offering drinks and snacks as an excuse to kind of flaunt her body in front of him. So when she was out of the room for a moment, I tell Dave that she loves to have her behind slapped. And he's like, "Oh, does she?" With a huge grin on his face, and the next time she walked by to sit down, he gives her a little smack on her behind. And she laughs out loud and says, "A little harder than that, please." So he does, and she just stops and backs up and sits down on his lap. Next thing I know, things are starting to happen. His hands seem to be wandering all over her body, and I see her slip her hand slip under the front of his pants, and I can tell she's feeling for you know what. Her eyes widen and she lets out a bit of a gasp. She looks me in the eyes and asks, "Are you sure you're all right with this?" And I say, 100%. I want to see you satisfied. She says, "I love you," and leans over and we kiss. She next gets off his lap and asks him to stand up, so he does, and she slides down his pants and underwear, and I'm in shock. I've played different sports before my injury, and I'd been in the locker room with other men. While most men were more endowed than me, this man had to have the largest I've ever seen. I am rock hard at this point, and she tells me to strip down too. So we are side by side, and he is limp. And yet, I'm not kidding you, is twice the length and width of mine easily, even though mine was hard. She grabs both in mine in one hand and his in the other, and says, "I love you, but this is what I need." As she gives his a couple of strokes and down, up and down, and adds, "This little thing is cute, but it just doesn't get the job done," and gives mine a little flick. I know it sounds odd, but I knew I would love the small penis humiliation stuff, and I did, and I was so glad she did that. Next thing I know, she's performing oral on him, and she's completely ignoring me, not even touching me at this point. So I go and sit on a chair on the side to get a better angle watch. He's so large, he can't even fit in her mouth, so she just puts the tip in her mouth and kisses and licks up and down, and occasionally sucking on the side of it as well. Must have felt so good for him. I don't know how he didn't finish. There was something so kinky and naughty about the fact that he is old enough to be her dad. She eventually got on top and started doing him reverse cowgirl, and the moans that were coming out of her were unlike anything I've ever heard from her. She just kept bouncing and grinding into him with him deep inside her. It was so hot to see this, to see my wife getting wild and sounding like she was enjoying it. Eventually they moved into another position and he started really giving it to her. The sound of them slapping together and echoing through our place, and I'm just loving every minute of it, but jealous at the same time. When they were done and he went home, I asked her if that was something she'd want on a regular basis, and she said once a week, if not more. And I said, hopefully more. Overall was a great experience, and we were both very happy we took the plunge. She finally had her first orgasm from penetration. I've never heard her moan the way she did. It was such a thrill, and yes, we had a great time for sure. Feel free to share on YouTube. That's all for now. Thanks for reading. So, I'm glad that you guys took the plunge. I'm glad that I was able to give you some good advice, and I'm glad that everyone involved had a good time. That's exciting. I'm happy for you. I'm glad things worked out. And thank you for sharing your experience with us, and I'm glad that you had such a positive experience and are going to continue. Um, that's all I really can say about it. That's exciting. Um, I'm glad you guys were able to work something out, find out what works for you. So, everyone, that's all I have for today. Just the story, the update, and I hope you enjoyed. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Help our channel grow. And we will see you all real soon. Bye, everyone.